I'm delighted to welcome you all to our virtual 2021 commencement ceremony. Tonight's program can be found online and a link will be placed in the chat, and there you can learn more about our graduates, our sponsors, and our Board of Trustees. So before we begin our program, I ask that you all join me in a moment of silence to acknowledge the tragic loss of the 9 victims of the VTA shooting on May 26th. As many of you may be aware, MTI and VTA have shared a long-standing partnership and friendship, teaming up on research, service, sponsorship, and youth programs. In fact, several MSTM students, alumni, and faculty members are part of the VTA family. And I saw that we had 2 VTA people join us today, Jim Lawson and Deborah DeGang, for the meet and greet. And I appreciate you two making the time. So please, let's have a moment of silence. Our hearts continue to be with you. Though this year has been marked by turmoil for our nation, our students have persevered. And now, as we start to see the other side of the global pandemic that seemed to bring our world to a stop, it's time to celebrate the accomplishments of our MSTM graduates. Let's give them a round of applause. Wish it were in person, that we were toasting wine instead. Our candidates have grit, as you likely have realized. Amid a year of significant change, these students have juggled career, family, personal lives, and the disruption caused by the global pandemic to achieve their goals. They've met each challenge with grace, and in so doing have demonstrated their unwavering commitment, adaptability, and resilience, and passion for educational attainment. And collectively, they exemplify why Money Magazine named San Jose State the #1 most transformative university in our nation. That's exciting. We look to this distinguished class of graduates to continue to persevere regardless of circumstances and to keep the nation's vital infrastructure moving. Because as we saw so clearly during the past year, transportation carries us through even the most harrowing times, serving as a vital lifeline to essential workers and others. I'd now like to acknowledge our esteemed trustees, each of whom are industry thought leaders who've dedicated their lives to improving mobility for all in an equitable and innovative way. Their experience, their insight, and their strategic direction helps to ensure MTI stands out as a leader in transportation research, technology transfer, education, and workforce development. Tonight, joining us from across the nation are MTI trustees, Secretary Mineta, who will be joining momentarily, and he will share some inspiring words momentarily. We have MTI Chair Abbas Mohaddes, who I saw joined us, MTI Vice Chair Will Kempton, who of course is an instructor that many of you have enjoyed, MTI Trustee Grace Kruniken, Trustee Rose Gilbo, Trustee Diane Wooden-Jones, Trustee Donna DiMartino, who is an early graduate of this program, as well as alum of the year and an instructor. We also have Trustee Paul Skitelis, John Flaherty, who joined us for the meet and greet, and Trustee Dan Mashavi, who is the Dean for the Lucas College and Graduate School of Business. And we have the founding executive director of MTI, the Honorable Rod Diridon Sr. And finally, a very special thank you to Dr. Marco Pagani, Associate Dean for the Lucas Graduate School of Business. And as you heard, if you were part of the meet and greet, this is hot off the presses. The Lucas College and Graduate School of Business has been reaccredited by AACSB for the next 5 years. For those of you who are not familiar with this accreditation, let me give you one statistic to help drive this point home of its importance. Only 5% of business schools globally achieve this status and this accreditation. So for all of our graduating students tonight and our alums, I hope this makes you proud to be part of the MTI family and the SJSU Spartans. I'd also like to recognize some of our transportation leaders joining us today. Earlier, I mentioned Jim Lawson, the Chief of External Affairs at Valley Transportation Authority. We have Council Member Dev Davis, who represents District 6. Carter Mao, the Acting GM and CEO of Samtrans. He is also an alum and was named Alum of the Year in 2018. We have Mark Kempton, Principal of Kempton Strategies and son of incoming Chair Will Kempton, and several other people that were so delighted to join us tonight and made the time to be in this virtual celebration. And now, before we get to the students and the commencement address, it's my pleasure to thank the many sponsors who have so selflessly supported this program and the student fellowships that have allowed so many to achieve their goals. A special thank you to benefactors American Public Transportation Association and Econolite, our patrons and new sponsor, Altamont Corridor Express, more familiar as ACE, Booster Fuels, the California Planning Roundtable, Google, Hugh Stewart Center Charitable Trust, and Union Pacific. And our multiple donors, which include AC Transit, Allied Telesis, Alstom, the Association of American Railroads, BART, the City of San Jose, Hanson Bridget, HNTB, InfraStrategies, JR Central, Lee and Elliott, Mott McDonald, Republic Urban Properties, Samtrans Caltrain, VTA, WMH, and WSP. We are so grateful for your continued support. And for this event tonight and for supporting our students into the future, we raised over $103,000. And I know if we were all together right now, there would be a very loud round of applause because this is just tremendous. So thank you all for your continued commitment and for joining us this evening. I'd now like to introduce Secretary Mineta. He's the founder of the Mineta Transportation Institute and former United States Secretary of Transportation. He has served our country for more than 6 decades with distinction. He was born right here in San Jose, a Spartan at heart, if you will. He served with distinction as an intelligence officer in the United States Army, served in the San Jose City Council, and served a 4-year term that altered transportation and urban planning in San Jose as our mayor, the first Japanese American to lead a major US city. But he didn't stop there. He went on to represent us in Congress for 20 years. And in the year 2000, Secretary Mineta joined President Clinton's administration and his cabinet as Commerce Secretary, making him the first Asian American ever appointed to a cabinet post. And when the Senate in 2001 confirmed his appointment as Transportation Secretary under President George W. Bush, Secretary Mineta became just the 4th cabinet member in our nation's entire history to serve in administrations from 2 different political parties. His ability to reach across the aisle and build consensus is legendary. He's a mentor, a friend, and a true American hero. We will always be grateful and humbled by his extraordinary record of service to this country. Secretary Mineta, would you like to make a few comments?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just signing on. Apologize for being late. But in any event, I just want to congratulate all of the graduates tonight for accomplishing this part of their career and professional goals. And they'll find that having this kind of background in your resume, so to speak, will have a great point for you in the future. So in any event, we're proud to have all of you as graduates of the MTI Master of Science program in Transportation, and we wish you all well as you continue your professional and career goals. And I want to remind all of you that you own 2 things that no one else owns. One is your name, and the second is your integrity. And I want you to do everything you can as you pursue your professional and career goals to protect both of those without any reservation. Because if you don't have the respect of people to do the right thing at the right time, then they will not have that trust in you to do those things. And so I want you to do everything you can to protect your integrity and your credit of your name. And the thing is, I want you to have short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. But I don't want you to be so focused on your long-term goals that you trip over something right in front of you. So always make sure that whatever you do, that you protect your name and your integrity. Now, that also means that, like in driving, you'll be looking in the rearview mirror, but you're going to be looking in the rearview mirror just to remind you of what you've done, people you've met, people who have helped you along the way, what kinds of things you have done to enhance your professional and career goals. But again, keep a firm hand on that steering wheel as you look forward into the future. So you glance in the rearview mirror just to be able to remind you of what you've been, where you've been, and what you've done. But always keep a very firm hand on that steering wheel in order to show your way into the future. And as I've said, and I know I'll repeat it again, always make sure that you have short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. But don't let your focus on the long-term goals be so intense that you might trip over something right in front of you as far as your career and professional goals might be. So again, congratulations to all of you as you get your master's degree from MTI. We're so proud of you, and we look forward to hearing from you as you pursue your career and professional goals and accomplish these things that will be good for the community and for the nation and for yourself. So again, congratulations and best wishes for the future, and stay safe, stay in excellent health, and again, stay safe. Congratulations and thank you very, very much.
And thank you, Secretary Mineta. I always find your words inspiring, and I'm humbled to be able to lead the Institute in your honor.
Recording in progress.
Thank you. And a brief reminder to mute yourselves, please, but please be dropping things into chat as you're comfortable. It's now my pleasure to introduce our esteemed commencement speaker, Phil Washington, former CEO of Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority, perhaps better known as LA Metro. Phil recently led the Biden-Harris administration's DOT transition team, overseeing a panel of experts who are in charge of reviewing current projects and ongoing initiatives, meeting with career federal employees and preparing the members of the incoming cabinet for their roles and priorities. Thank you, Phil, for that wonderful service to our nation. But that he doesn't stop there. Previously, he served as the CEO of the Denver Regional Transportation District, implementing the Fast Track program and securing public and private transit partnerships. A longtime champion of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the industry, Phil was awarded the 2018 Honorable Ray LaHood Award by WTS, the International Women in Transportation Seminar, for his outstanding contribution in promoting opportunities to advance and advocate for women in the transportation industry. And in 2017, he was presented with the Judge Harry Ferguson Public Service Award for his service to U.S. military veterans, and was honored with the Norman Mineta Award for exceptional leadership in transportation. Now, this part is super, super cool. Phil is a 24-year veteran himself and was the former Command Sergeant Major, which is the highest non-commissioned officer rank an enlisted soldier can achieve. He was awarded the prestigious Defense Superior Service Medal for exceptional service to his country. Wow, Phil, thank you for all you do and for the clear path that you lead. He's also a past chair of APTA. We've got some emerging leaders that are joining that program with us tonight. and he's previously served on the executive committee for the Transportation Research Board and the Eno Center for Transportation. Phil, thank you so much for joining us. Please, will you share a few words with all of our graduates, including two of whom are with LA Metro, Robin Blair and Jose Gonzalez. Phil, take it away.
Well, thank you so much, Karen. And I'm just so thrilled to be on the same program as my hero and mentor, Mr. Norm Mineta. He is a legend and a great mentor for folks like me and folks that are in not just the infrastructure space, but all over this country. I really thank him, and I'm honored to be here on the same program. It's kind of tough to follow Secretary Mineta, but I will have a couple of words. First of all, congratulations to the graduates. Tonight is such a special event. You did it. You are here this evening with your family, parents, friends, the Mineta Institute faculty, the staff, board of trustees of the Institute, and colleagues to really celebrate this major achievement. In making this decision to pursue a graduate degree or certificate, you have opened up a door to a whole new world of opportunity. The more education you attain, the more doors will open, and the more doors you will go through. I love what the secretary talked about, you owning two things, your name and your integrity. So tonight, we celebrate a commencement, a new beginning, or a new start. I'm so proud of all of you, and particularly my former colleagues, Robin Blair and Jose Gonzalez from LA Metro. In operations and maintenance, respectively, they are really the ones that make an organization like LA Metro go. So congratulations to them and all of the graduates. This is really an interesting and an exceptional time in transportation infrastructure. A time where so much must be done to build and rebuild our country's infrastructure, our critical infrastructure. A couple of months ago, I sat down for a fireside chat with the current Transportation Secretary, Secretary Buttigieg, and we talked about a number of things. We talked about America's ailing infrastructure being not only a problem of historic proportions, but it's a historic opportunity to deliver solutions. We're approaching $1 trillion backlog in infrastructure projects, including just not maintaining and looking after what we've already built, but we must be sure that the resources that communities need for the road ahead are available. Other countries are getting ahead of us in infrastructure. China's infrastructure investments is more than the US and Europe combined. There's a history of federal policy that has let certain communities down and even actively made things worse, disproportionately affecting particularly Black and brown communities. But now is our chance to do something about that. We know that we have no choice but to make big infrastructure investments, and we must make them in more equitable ways. And that's what that Justice 40 initiative is for. 40% of infrastructure investments going to communities that have historically been excluded or disinvested in the future. We must also think about the jobs that are being created to deliver these investments. What kind of businesses and workers are going to be getting those jobs that are created? And we have to be intentional about these. And while we need a big infrastructure bill, and that's being talked about now, we can't wait for that big bill to pass for us to get started. And so as we think about how to build back infrastructure, and as we think about these various things, I think that leadership and values will take for us to do this. Our leadership has surely been tested this past year and during the pandemic especially, and even the social unrest in the country. Leadership is hard to find, but you know it when you see it. My particularly leadership journey was different than most. I'm the only son of a single mother and 5 sisters. I grew up in public housing built on a waste dump across the highway from a waste dump, 50 landfills and 382 industrial facilities surrounding the area. And I decided as a senior in high school to go into the United States Army. My recruiter told me I had to finish high school, and I went about the business of doing that. I joined the United States military just as the Vietnam War was ending in April of 1975, and left in early 1976. And I can remember my platoon sergeant being just back from Vietnam, and I can remember going to basic training in the South. I grew up with the story of Emmett Till, 14-year-old kid from Chicago, being killed in the South. And I can remember my mother being afraid for me to go to the South from Chicago because that was where Emmett Till was from, and we knew his family very well. But after 25 years in the Army and being successful in the military and actually retiring as a disabled veteran, I got into the infrastructure, the transportation infrastructure space. And I can remember seeing an ad in the newspaper, and the ad talked about the Regional Transportation District in Denver. I was stationed in Colorado because that was my duty station at that time. And I went and I responded to that ad. And I can remember the CEO at that time was a Vietnam veteran. And he understood my level of responsibility at that time. And he understood my rank at that time and the accountability I had. And he took a chance on me. He took a chance on me and hired me. I think he asked me 2 questions. One was my name, and I can't even remember the other question. But he took a chance on me. And from that point, we did so much in the transportation infrastructure space in Denver and also in Los Angeles. So leadership is a huge part of what we're doing here. You're graduating. We know that leadership, and a friend of mine at Harvard says this, that good leadership is dangerous. Can you survive long enough to reach your goals? Can you do what you need to do, understanding that you're not going to make everyone happy, and you're going to disappoint some people along the way with your decisions, but can you survive? I remember when I was getting out of the military, and I worried about what I would do in civilian life after the military. And what dawned on me is that the transferable thing from the military to civilian life is not, it was not the skills I had in terms of being an air defense artillery person. It was not that. It was actually the transferable skill was leadership, understanding that people are the common denominator. So I think as I close and as I provide a little bit of career advice to you, it's not unlike what the secretary was saying. Standing by your principles, integrity. We stand here today, you stand here today on the precipice of our infrastructure future. It is not a distant reality anymore. It begins here. It begins today as our president and Congress negotiate a once-in-a-generation infrastructure bill. Here you are, the graduates of an institution that bears the name of one of the pioneers of infrastructure in this country, one of the great leaders of our generation. My challenge to you and to myself is to overcome any obstacle that we have in our lives, professionally or personally, and power through to achieve all of our full potential. If each of us, if each of you students can do that, just imagine fulfilling your full potential. If we can all do that, just imagine the effect that we would have on our country and the world. So the future is truly in our hands, in your hands. So let's make the most of it. So thank you so much. God bless you in your future. I am really, really proud of all of you. I'm really, really proud of the work that Karen is doing as the head of the Mineta Institute and the faculty and the teachers. It's been wonderful to see you. It's been wonderful to see my friend, Will Kempton. And listen, good luck to you. God bless. And thank you for having me.
Wow. Thank you so much. I don't know about all of you, but I know I got covered in goosebumps and I wrote down, can you survive? That will start to be a question I will ask myself when meeting new challenges and opportunities. Thank you so much for joining us, Phil. It's been a privilege to have you. Now it's my time to introduce our Student of the Year. I'm honored to present Anna Harvey. Anna is a registered professional engineer who works for the San Francisco Planning Department as the rail program manager. She took on this degree determined to balance work and school, and she had a 2-year-old child when she started the program. Whew, for all of the parents out there, I think we know what a heroic lift that must have been. She was then met with the addition of the global pandemic, but Anna, with the support of her family, proved successful and earned the recognition of the MSTM faculty who chose to honor her with this award. Anna, would you please share a few thoughts with us? And if you want your 4-year-old, who's now 4, to join you, we'd love to see your child as well.
My daughter's on a different screen in a different room, but she often pops in, so we shall see how it goes. Thank you so much, Dr. Philbrick, Secretary Mineta, sponsors, trustees, and fellow students. And here she comes. And of course, all family and friends. This is Bridget. Okay, off she goes. Bye. Hi. She's saying hi to me. Look. Excuse me. Nope. Just okay. Sorry, this is Zoom land. This is how it goes.
This is life these days. These are the challenges you dealt with while earning your degree and working full time. So good for you, Anna.
Thank you. All of my fellow students and of course all of our family and friends who are gathered virtually with us this evening. It's my privilege and honor to share a few remarks as Student of the Year. And what a year. 2020 and 2021 saw our remote instruction model becoming the norm across every aspect of our lives. I always like to joke that all of us in the MSTM program were Zoom experts before it was cool. My classmates and I endured a global pandemic, a generational civil rights crisis, a devastating fire season that emphasized the immediate need to address our climate crisis. And through it all, we gamely logged on to our classes, socialized through the Zoom chat, built friendships in Zoom and on Canvas, and completed our assignments towards our degrees. And here we are. As a group, we are professionals, we're students, parents, children, mentors, and beyond. We work in the public and private sector. We have dream jobs and roles this is one step towards achieving. We come from a whole range of backgrounds and experiences. Perhaps the best way to explain what this achievement means to me and to my fellow students is to explain a little bit about where I come from. Like many of us, I currently work in the public sector, mainly on transportation planning and long-range rail planning. But my time as a transportation enthusiast began when I was just a kid learning to ride public transit on my own while growing up in Singapore. I distinctly recall the thrill I felt when I realized that I could take a bus to the end of the line, explore around, and get back on going in the other direction without worrying about getting lost. This started a lifelong fascination with transit systems and their maps, and I later returned to the US for high school, learning to ride the buses in San Francisco and ultimately attending UC Berkeley. After studying engineering at a public university, I really thought coming out of my undergrad degree that I was going to solve California's water crisis because I felt empowered to solve the state's big problems. Of course, life, a recession, and that same love of transit maps intervened, and I found myself recruited through a local hiring process to work on the final design of a new subway in downtown San Francisco. Over time, I gained my PE license, and upon learning that I was expecting my daughter, who just interrupted this call, realized that I wanted to try out life in the public sector for a better work-life balance. Over time, I have looked at funding challenges. I've moved from engineering into planning, and I realized along the way that I needed to think a little bit more about what I wanted for my career in the future. This program intervened in a wonderful combination of flexibility and particular applicability for somebody interested in management in the public sector. I was able to attend classes while with a young child, as Dr. Philbrick mentioned, and also met a huge number of incredible people working across the state at various agencies and private firms. Some thank yous, of course, to my wonderful parents, my partner Sean and my daughter Bridget, who are watching today and without whom I could never have completed this. I want to thank the wonderful faculty and staff with MTI who guided us along this journey. Also really appreciate the trustees and sponsors who make the MTI fellowships possible, making a graduate opportunity even more accessible for us all. Doctors Agarwal and Waldron, who are so thoughtful and compassionate and reminding us of both administrative deadlines, scholarship opportunities, lending an ear for administrative or personal problems. And of course, it's evidenced by the lovely custom graduation stoles that they sent us to wear this evening. And I'm so grateful for my fellow students who are wonderful, have become friends and a powerful network for us all over the state and country. Transportation is a really small industry, and I know we will all meet again. As Secretary Mineta said so eloquently, I look forward to hearing from you all as you accomplish your goals for the good of our state and nation. In particular, I look forward to raising a glass in person with you all at some point in the future. Congratulations to us all, and go Spartans.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anna, for your comments. And I hope we see little Bridget at one of these graduation ceremonies long into the future, because we have a job for her in transportation. And your remarks remind me of how much transportation touches all of our lives, whether it's through the food we consume, the devices we use to remain connected, or how we get from point A to point B. We are doing such powerful work together, and I'm so proud of all of you. And now it's my privilege to invite the Dean of the College of Business at San Jose State, Dr. Dan Mishavi, who's also a trustee for MTI, to share a few inspiring words. Dan, please take it away.
Thanks, Karen. Congratulations, everybody. Really delighted to welcome you as San Jose State University and College of Business alum. Really excited that you are part of now this huge Spartan network of 50,000 alumni, believe it or not, from the Lucas College of Business. There's 50,000 grads. So even though you're focused in the transportation world, there's a whole nother huge universe of alum that I hope you have the chance to meet and interact with over time. A lot of comments, and I think they've been terrific from the secretary, from Phil, from Anna, around, kind of the professional piece of this. And I've been thinking about this, and, myself having had, like everybody else, had an unbelievable disruptive year, is what does this mean on a much more personal level, right? I mean, I'm an optimist at my core. I look for sort of the positives. And one way that I've framed this is, what an unbelievable opportunity for all of us, but for you to have sort of tried to finish a graduate degree, which is a significant undertaking, in the middle of a pandemic, when kids are home all the time, spouses and significant others are home all the time, trying to carve out your own time and space to do the things you needed to do. And I'm hoping you've found a tiny little window to really deeply self-reflect and ask yourself, what do you want to be when you grow up? Not just from a goal and professional accomplishment standpoint, but really what things matter to you most. I think these environmental jolts like a pandemic that we experience very much cause us to sort of ask these bigger picture questions. So I'm hoping you found in your tiny own little corner of the world a chance to ask those questions and at least begin to answer them, because ultimately you will be the best you if you get your arms around those issues, and you will show up at work and you will show up in life with a much greater sense of purpose. So really huge round of applause to all of you for having navigated really what's been no doubt a challenging year. If you have a glass, I encourage you to raise it. A toast, one of my favorite toasts, is something my grandfather used to say, and that is, I wish you everything you wish yourself. Congratulations. Now it's my pleasure. I'm supposed to drink, I guess, first before I move on. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Asha Weinstein-Agrawal, MTI Education Director, Director of the Masters of Science in Transportation Program, and also a Professor of Urban and Regional Planning and an award-winning scholar. Asha, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dean Moshavi. Well, like the other speakers before me tonight, I offer you all my deepest, sincerest congratulations on this very happy occasion. And it is now going to be my great honor to present to you the 14 graduating students who've earned the degree of Master of Science in Transportation Management. Many of them, by the way, have also simultaneously earned graduate certificates in either transportation security management or high-speed and intercity rail management. Now, for those of you, family, friends, trustees who aren't intimately familiar with our master's program, students complete 10 rigorous courses that cover subjects from transportation policy to marketing and communications, principles of leadership, to funding and finance. And they do this in classes that run for 4 hours starting at 5:30. So people complete a full day at the office, and then they sit down for essentially another full half day of classwork. And I often wonder if I would be able to do it myself. I'm so proud and inspired by the work that our students do. Now, as I introduce each graduate individually, I'm going to share the title of the capstone report that graduate spent more than 6 months writing. Our students actually spend close to 8 months on these projects, which are very similar to a master's thesis. For our capstones, each student identifies a current issue in the industry of interest to her or him that needs evaluation, designs a question to answer for that evaluation, collects, analyzes data, and then writes up the findings in a professional report. In addition, as I introduce each student, we're going to have them come on just briefly to offer personal thanks to the people who have helped them in their journey. And also, I guess I'm having some trouble letting go of my role as an instructor with our graduates, but I've given them a homework assignment before today, which was to share with us in 10 words or less some piece of advice they would offer to their future professional selves. So with that, and I believe we're going to put up a slide that goes with each of the graduates. So I'd like to start by introducing Robin Blair. Robin works for LA Metro as a senior director for Metro operations. And his capstone title is NHTS, that's the National Household Travel Survey, Finding Changes in Generational Travel from 1995 to 2017. Robin.
First, I got to say thanks to the Mineta Transportation Institute. You guys, there's a lot of shouting in the background here, especially Secretary Mineta. He did a great job putting something together. The staff at San Jose State and all the professionals that were there did a great job making something useful for us that are in the industry and allowing us to work on things that are very important to us right now, today. I got to thank Phil Washington. He actually had pushed the educational program within Metro, and so he has been an excellent guy to be part of. I got to say thanks to my family and colleagues. They supported long hours. Really appreciate my classmates. Really appreciate the people at the USDOT where the National Household Transportation Survey is housed. So I just want to say one thing, be quick. Don't measure each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds you plant. Remembering you don't always eat the fruit from the things you plant. Advice, the thing you'd ask, 10 words or less, go look at research papers before the class starts. Get in early on 283, even if you're not taking the class. And learn quickly, because it comes so fast. 6 months go so quickly that you're better off getting information up front as quick as you can. There's my 26.
Thank you, Robin. And I like that saying, which I'll have to remember, about the difference between reaping the harvest and sowing the seeds. Next.
A combination of Robert Louis Stiglitz and Michelle Obama, just to let you know.
Okay, you're not plagiarizing. This is very good.
I want to.
Next, it is my great pleasure to introduce Giovanni Di Fabio. Giovanni works for the Metropolitan Transportation Commission as the Freeway Service Patrol Program Manager. So if any of you are driving in our region and break down and a truck comes to save you, you can thank Giovanni for that happening. His capstone title is Transit Consolidation Evaluation. Did the Soltrans merger make a case for future transit streamlining? Giovanni.
Hello. I'd like to, first of all, thank my wonderful partner, Miguel, who's provided so much encouragement over the last 2 years. Also, my very supportive family, who is amongst the Zoom windows here. I'd also like to thank my employer, MTC, Metropolitan Transportation Commission. MTC has been extremely supportive and accommodating throughout my journey. And of course, I can't forget the MTI faculty and staff, and for everything that you do and everything that you've assisted me with. So thank you very much. And so a bit of advice to my future self. I thought I was going to have to think about this for quite a while, but a light bulb popped in my head and I was in the restroom and boom, I wrote it down right there. So to my future self, don't be afraid to take a risk because fear of failure stifles innovation. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Giovanni. Good words for all of us.
Gio, can you drop those words into the chat? Because I'd like to remember them for myself.
Sure, I'll put them in there right now.
Thank you.
Actually, if they would like, all of our graduates, perhaps, again, only if you're comfortable, but maybe put your advice in and we'll collect it up for everybody. So next, graduate, I would like to introduce to you all, and can we have the next slide, please, is Phuong Do. Phuong works for BART as a civil engineer, and her capstone title is Existing Bicycle Infrastructure in San Leandro, Opportunities for Improvement. Phuong, please.
Yes, so hi everyone. I would like to thank the Mineta Transportation Institute and all the MTI professor and faculty for providing such an amazing program. You have widened my horizon in transportation management field. Thanks to all my classmates for sharing your ideas throughout the program, and also thanks to my supportive family members. And my advice that don't be afraid to go into any professional field that you're interested in because it will last you a lifetime.
Thank you very much, Phuong. The next graduate for me to introduce is Alex Eisenhart. Alex works for the City of Dublin as a communications analyst, and his capstone title is Evaluation. How effective were Samtrans marketing and planning strategies in the launch of Route FCX? Alex.
Thank you so much. I definitely want to thank all of the faculty and leadership near and far who make this entire program possible, all of my coworkers who've supported me throughout all this and were part of my interviews for my research. And certainly my classmates who, especially through COVID, had to sort of endure any of my eccentricities in class. I appreciate your at least tolerating, if not embracing it. And I would say advice for my future self would be to not doubt myself so much and not take things too seriously. This is really important work that we do, but it has to be fun and enjoyable. So thank you again.
Thank you very much, Alex. And the next graduate I have the honor of presenting is Ryan Falika. Ryan works for Caltrans as a transportation engineer down in San Diego, and his capstone title is VMT, that's Vehicle Miles Traveled. VMT, Exploring the Politics and Realities of Sustainable Growth in the Golden State. Ryan.
Hi, everyone. This has been an amazing program so far, so I'm really happy to be a part of this, and I'm honored. I really want to thank the MTI and San Jose State families, my fellow students, echoing everything that they've said. We've been a tough group getting through all of this. And my Caltrans family as well, those my colleagues that I work with, and also my actual family. My dad's here in the crowd somewhere, in the virtual audience. And my advice to myself future self is pretty simple. Just to be proud of what I have accomplished, or to everyone, be proud of what you have accomplished and recognize that hard work pays off. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Ryan. And the next graduate for us to honor is Lauren German. And I believe that Lauren was not able to join us this evening, but I will mention that she works for WSP as a senior rail and transit planner. The next graduate here for us to celebrate is Jose Gonzalez. Jose works for LA Metro as a rail equipment maintenance instructor, and his capstone title is Practices and Methods Responding to Rail Vehicle Service Interruptions. Jose, please share a few words. Jose, I think you're muted now. Why don't we come back to you? Maybe you can join on your phone or some other instrument, so that we really would love to hear from you. But while you're figuring that out, I'd next like to introduce Anna Harvey, whom we already have had the pleasure of meeting. As you know, Anna works for the City of San Francisco as a project manager in the planning department, and her capstone title is Next Stop, Restoring Caltrain Service to San Francisco's Bayview. Anna.
Good evening again, everybody. You've heard plenty from me, but I did want to thank my family, in particular, Sean and my daughter Bridget, my parents who are all watching this evening. Love you guys, and thank you so much for helping me do this. In terms of advice, I'll actually pass on something that one of my very first managers and mentors said to me, and I realized it's so true. Never burn bridges. Our industry is small, and we'll meet again. So I look forward to meeting again. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Anna. The next graduate I present to you is Jesse Hudson. Jesse works for the City of Chico as an assistant planner, and his capstone title is Evaluation of General Plan Goals, Policies, and Actions, Direct and Indirect Benefits to Pavement Health. Jesse.
Hello. I'd like to thank everyone from Mineta. This program wouldn't be what it is without everyone, and I learned so much. It's been a real pleasure. A lot of great people involved. I'd say my advice for myself is to value my experience and skills I've learned throughout my job. So, they're important to both future work and just remembering how far along I've come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jesse. I next have the honor of presenting to you Lisa Kunzman. Lisa is a consultant with the Kircher Group, and her capstone title is Evaluation of the Effectiveness of the California State Fleet Zero Emission Vehicle Policies, a case study of the California Department of Transportation fleet. Lisa.
Thank you. Ditto to everything that other students have said about the Mineta Institute and my fellow students. But specifically, I want to thank my husband, John, my niece, Danielle, friends, Chris, Jim, and Catherine, and lastly, my Labrador pup, Galette, who reminds me to take a break and have fun. My advice to my future self is, in 10 words or less, continue growing and learning, help others to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. The next graduate that I have the honor of presenting is Linda Lee. Linda works for BART as a manager of engineering programs, and her capstone title is Challenges of Procuring and Managing Professional Services Contracts for Transportation Agencies. Linda.
Thanks, Sasha. Ditto to everyone. I would like to thank all the wonderful staff and my classmates for a very fulfilling and enriching program. My family for supporting me and giving me the time to support this. And oh gosh, they're here. You can't see them. And to my future self, I think I just like to remind myself that to remember the long nights spent on all those papers, and even if it seems daunting at first, you will overcome for whatever problems you encounter. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Next, I have the honor of presenting Lindsay Olafson. Lindsay works for BART as a maintenance support administrator, and her capstone title is Smooth streets for all or municipal favoritism? Public perception of Oakland's equity-driven paving plan. Lindsay.
Hi there. Thanks, Asha. I'd first like to thank my family and partner for their support and tireless editing services. And of course, the Mineta Transportation Institute. This has been an incredible program. I loved every minute of it. And also my employer, BART, for their very generous educational assistance program that helps all of us go through this program so smoothly. To my future self, I'd say hold tight to your integrity and trust yourself and what you've learned. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. And by the way, for those of you who joined late, Lindsay is getting married this weekend. So she gets double congratulations.
Woohoo!
The next graduate I have the honor to announce is Navraj Pada, who works for AC Transit as Assistant Transportation Superintendent. And his capstone title is Transit Solution for West Contra Costa County, an evaluation of the LA Metro's Silver Line. Navraj.
Thank you, Asha. Just want to thank everybody at MTI. It's a great program. Thank my family, my agency, AC Transit, and most of all of our students. You guys are great to bounce ideas off each other. Just so happy to be here right now. Words for my future self: don't be afraid to take on new challenges.
Thank you, Navraj. And the final graduate that I have the honor of introducing to you all is Alina Staviskaya. Her capstone title is Evaluation of Policymaking Challenges in Regards to Commercial Driverless Ride-Hailing Service Operations in the Pioneering States, California, Arizona, Michigan. Alina.
Thank you, Asha. I want to thank all my wonderful classmates and faculty, and again, Professor Asha Agrawal and Michelle Waldron for their kind help and believing in me. And my advice to my future self: to be confident, to openly express opinions and take initiative.
Thank you, Alina. Now, Jose, I just want to give you a quick chance. I don't know if you fixed your audio, but would you like to say a few words?
Hello, Dr. Agrawal?
Yes, glad you got that sorted out. Please.
Okay, it's okay. Sounds good now. First of all, thanks be to God for everything. And I'd like to thank my family, my friends, my employer, the LA Metro, and the San Jose State University. And, you know, a piece of advice for myself is just take action. You know, you just got to take action on things sometimes. So.
Thank you very much, Jose. And Jose is an excellent example of grace under Zoom not working, which is a talent I think that all of us have had to develop for the last year. So I would now like to wrap up this portion where we present our graduating students by acknowledging the names of the 3 students who have completed the requirements for one of our graduate certificates. So Benyam Agagnehu has earned a certificate in transportation management. Benyam works for the County of Santa Clara as an associate transportation planner. Leonardo Fuel has earned a certificate in high-speed and inner-city rail management. And Leonardo works for the San Diego Metropolitan Transit System as the for-hire vehicle administration manager. And lastly, Mohammed Issa Ibrahimi has earned a certificate in high-speed and intercity rail management. So now I'd like to end this portion by sort of formally turning our students over to the hands of Olivia Rocha. Olivia is the president of the MTI Alumni Association, and she earned her MSTM in 2015 and is currently working for the Office of the Chief Information Officer at BART. And so since you're no longer my student, now you get to be in the hands of Olivia and the MTI Alumni Association. Olivia.
Thank you, Asha. I just want to say that we were chatting a bit before the official program started about unions. So in full disclosure, I do want to say that I am president for the SJSU 10-to-1 BART for professional chapter. So I want to put that out there. So Mineta Transportation Science Master Class of 2021. Congratulations upon your graduating. We wish you brighter opportunities will come your way and you achieve success in all of them. We take this moment to welcome all of you to be part of the MTI MSTM Alumni Association. We would like you to become active participants, whether it be a Facebook support, interviewing your own person or group that inspires you, such as a mentor or transportation person that you would cherish writing about, or be part of an interview panel, encouraging other people to join us at MTI and other endeavors to be had. So let us know by calling or emailing us your interest. In conclusion, we warmly welcome all of you into the MTI MSTM Alumni Association. And we leave you with this passage. Behind you are all your memories. Before you are all your dreams. Around you are all who love you. And within you are all you need. God bless and wish you the best.
Thank you so kindly, Olivia.
You're welcome.
And I must point out Linda Lee's beautiful children who have joined her on the screen. And I can see you had extra challenges while you worked on your master's degree, Linda. So a hearty congratulations to you. And I'd like to just share some advice that I often think of, and it's a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. And I think it's important because oftentimes we underestimate our own influence. And it is, you wouldn't worry so much about what people thought of you if you realized how seldom they do. So remember not to get distracted by perceived errors and mistakes because it's not likely that anyone else noticed. But be accountable and have integrity like we heard Secretary Mineta share. Now, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, it is my privilege to recognize our chair, Abbas Mohaddes, for his outstanding service as MTI's board chair from 2019 to 2021. Through this entire global pandemic, he has led us with grace. And in addition to that, he helped us with our 3-year renewal for our Senate Bill 1 funded California State University Transportation Consortium. For those of you who may not know, we lead that consortium, which represents the surface transportation research and workforce development efforts of the 23 campuses that compose the California State University Transportation System, California State University System. Additionally, he was critical in several procedural changes that have helped ensure MTI remains a thought leader in the industry. And he did all this while leading Econolite as president and CEO, demonstrating his 30 years of experience in policy and technology application in transportation systems. Many of you may know him because he's a nationally recognized expert in ITS, and he's published and presented over 70 articles at industry organizations around the world. Please mute. He is a founding member and past chairman of the board of ITS America and its leadership circle, but it doesn't stop there. He was also a former member of the Transportation Research Board, member of the University of California Irvine Chief Executive Roundtable, and a board member of the National Operations Center of Excellence, a member of the V21 Coalition Executive Committee. If these accolades were not enough to warrant this award, in Abbas's ongoing commitment to his employees and to the transportation industry as a whole and to MTI, he has very generously provided the financial support for 3 Econolite students to join the MSTM program. And get this, he's covering all the tuition for all 3 students. So Abbas, thank you for that generosity and for helping educate the next generation of transportation leaders. We look to our incoming board chair, Will Kempton, who many of you had as an instructor, a former Caltrans director, and vice chair, Jeff Morales, to continue the great work and the pattern that Abbas has set. Abbas, if we were together, we'd be raising our glasses and presenting you with a beautiful award. So let me just give you a virtual toast and thank you again for helping me to reimagine the board meetings and to lead us through our renewal contract and all of the other competitions. We appreciate your efforts.
Thank you so much, Karen, for such kind words. And I really appreciate your leadership and how well, with the steady hands, you managed through this pandemic not only surviving, but truly thriving through these tough times. And that always amazed me. And thank you for that. And thank you, the entire Board of Trustees. And of course, our founding father and hero, Secretary Mineta. Thank you again, Karen.
Oh, thank you, Abbas. And once again, congratulations to all of our MSTM graduates and certificate recipients. And I'd like to, and that's your MTI family right there with their homemade signs, wishing you a warm congratulations. I'd love to say my 8-year-old helped me with my sign, but I would be fibbing. And so I'll just say I had fun with glitter and glue. And of course, this is a team effort. Without the MTI team, none of this would be possible. And I'd like to thank Miss Irma Garcia, Dr. Hillary Nixon, Dr. Michelle Waldron, Miss Alvarina Wainardi, Miss Jasmine Guan, and of course, Dr. Asha Weinstein-Agarwal. With that, we've got one more congratulatory piece for our graduates, and it's a video from our trustees. So please stay with us as we watch it.
First of all, thanks a million to all of you for having chosen Mineta Transportation Institute to get your Master's in Transportation Science Management. The other thing is, of course, more importantly today, congratulations on your graduation from the Mineta Transportation Institute. I'm hoping that this will be your entry point for your professional career and gains in the future. So again, congratulations to all of you.
Congratulations, class of 2021, on receiving your master's degree in transportation management at the prestigious Mineta Institute. I'm so honored to recognize your outstanding accomplishments you have worked so hard to achieve. Welcome to the multifaceted business world of transportation management. Wish you all the best throughout your fascinating journey. Thank you.
Greetings to all the graduates. I'm Will Kempton, Vice Chair of the Mineta Transportation Institute Board of Trustees. It's a pleasure to congratulate all of you as you receive your Masters of Science degrees in Transportation Management. You've not only met the educational challenges of earning this distinguished recognition, you did so in the middle of a global pandemic. Please accept my best wishes for what is sure to be a bright future. And hats off to the class of 2021.
This is Grace Kroniken from Beaverton, Oregon. I want to add my congratulations to the class of 21. You have to be a very tenacious group to have come as far as you have and have your master's degree in hand through the middle of this COVID mess. Way to do it, and congratulations.
I have a unique understanding of the Mineta Transportation Institute. First as a graduate of the program, next as an instructor, and now having the privilege of sitting on the board of directors. I know the hard work and commitment it took for you to complete this program, and I understand and can tell you you'll find it valuable for the rest of your careers. And tonight, I just want to wish you best wishes and big congratulations.
So, MTI graduates, it's time to celebrate your tremendous accomplishment. Congratulations and best wishes in your future endeavors.
Congratulations to the class of 2021. I'm David Kim, and I'm Secretary of the California State Transportation Agency. I'm so proud of all of you on this big occasion. You just earned a Master's of Science in Transportation Management. The transportation world needs you and your expertise, your experience, your intellect. I know you're going to make a huge difference in the years ahead. I look forward to working with all of you and seeing all the great things you will be doing. Congratulations again. Job well done.
Hello, graduates, and congratulations. You've had extra degrees of difficulty added to your work, completing your program while dealing with all of the other challenges of COVID. Between your day jobs and classes, I just hope that you remember how to talk without Zoom when this is all over. You'll now join a great group of people from MTI who are making greater contributions to our transportation world. And although we can't be there in person to congratulate you, please know how excited and proud we all are. And make sure to take the time to celebrate what you've done and what's ahead for you. Congratulations.
We look forward to the valuable contributions you will make to expand access to modern, convenient, and safe transportation choices for all people in every community. In so doing, you will change lives because all progress and freedom are built on mobility. APTA and MTI are proud of your accomplishments. We are ready and eager to see the new world of transportation you will build. Good luck to each and every one of you.
Congratulations on achieving your Master's of Science in Transportation from the Mineta Transportation Institute. I'm Beverly Swaim-Staley, President and CEO of Union Station Redevelopment Corporation here in Washington, D.C. I'm very honored to be a member of the Mineta Transportation Institute, and we're so proud of our graduates. I wish you much success and bright futures in careers and transportations. We need leaders like you. Thank you.
Big thank you to Alberina for putting that video together. I love the way she represented all of your organizations in the opening and closing slides. And I want to say, Will Kempton, you delight me. I love that you got balloons and a sign and a graduation hat. Way to show your enthusiasm for the hard work of our graduating class. We appreciate that. And Lindsay, I wish you a wonderful wedding on Sunday. You truly have a lot to celebrate. And while our formal program is coming to a close, I invite you to stay on until 7:15, so about 6 minutes or so. If you feel like chatting a little bit more or sharing some stories, we would love to hear more from you. I know I'm walking away from this event feeling very inspired by the words that we heard from Secretary Mineta, from Phil Washington, and from each of you. And I'm going to remember that to ask myself, can you survive? And for all of you, I wish you all that you wish for yourself. Thank you, Dean Mohaddes. That's become my new favorite toast. So please, for those of you who'd like to stay, please do. And for those of you who would like to disconnect at this point, I bid you farewell. I look forward to seeing you in person at the 2022 Banquet and Convocation celebration. And in the meantime, I wish you health and safety. Thank you for making the time to join us this evening and celebrate the tremendous success of the class of 2021. We were honored with your presence.